Hey, grateful day, y'all. So I want to take you back to a point in time at the end of the year where typically I take from 2 to 4 weeks off of the business where we are focused on family time, travel, and of course the holiday break with my family. And so what I'm going to talk about today started during the Christmas holiday break. It is typically when I completely unplug. However, I get the most downloads when I am not working in the business. And of course, sometimes when I'm also not working on the business because ideas kind of just come. And then, depending on what I am doing, I will either during this time of year, because I'm not technically on the clock, I will either document it where I've gotten really good at taking voice notes on my voice memo on my iPhone, primarily because if you have not utilized it in a while or at all, you could actually copy the entire transcript. And then if you would like to, which I do, I say, hey, I need to clean this up, grammatical errors, and I need you to put it in order. I will then upload it to one of my AI systems and say, do not change my language, but I just need you to create me a timeline, take everything I said, and just simply type it out like a transcript. But sometimes when Apple does it, you know, doesn't understand my voice, unlike maybe AI does. And so it starts misspelling things. And so, nevertheless, I documented pretty much everything that I received in a download and or I would move on it. And most of the time during that time of year, I would move on it when it came down to social media posts, right? So this time my intuition said, go do something, like literally go do something. But I also knew I did not want to create something very complicated. I didn't want to have anything that had SOPs. I didn't want to contact my team because they were also off. And so I just realized that this is a season where if I have a download and I want to experiment with something, the best place to do it is social media. So when I came back from my break into the new year, I wanted to be able to pick up where I left off. And what I started doing strongly, if you follow me on Instagram, is I started talking heavily, even on YouTube and TikTok a little bit, about therapy groups, primarily because personally, I love therapy groups. It also gives me the opportunity to serve more than one person at a time in local communities and online. And you can also take therapy groups or an idea of one to places like agencies, institutions, community partners, nonprofit. And another beauty part is you don't even have to be worried about being hired as a full time or part time therapist. They typically will pay you as a contractor in a container. You show up, you deliver the service, you maybe even use your own EHR, and then you leave. Fill out your W-9, you get paid. So when I first started talking about therapy groups on Instagram, my post, like the first 2 to 3, did really, really well. Now, the reason why it shocked me is because it was a carousel. And now those posts have 30,000 views, 40,000 views. And I realized in that moment that I could also take a step back from always needing to create videos or show my face because carousels are now your girl's best friend. I've been doing carousels heavily since December of 2025, and I'm recording this episode in April of 2026. And the reason I believe carousels works for me is because I really love to teach. If you have been around, if you have checked out my podcast, my YouTube, you know, even at a boot camp or a masterclass, I am very thorough. I don't like being rushed. I don't like squeezing things into 7 seconds, 15 seconds, or 60 seconds, especially if I prefer to talk to explain something. And so I took that experimental stage and I started posting consistently for a week. I told myself I was going to do it for 7 days. That was my goal, not a year. So I'm also giving you permission that if you want to try something new, but you don't know how it's going to turn out, just give yourself 7 days and see what happens, but make a commitment and actually, follow through. So, what I started doing during that time is I was consistently posting at minimum one time a day on my feed, one time a day in the stories, and it would typically be in the morning, especially on my break. And then once I got in the rhythm, I started doing 2 times a day. So, what I started noticing immediately with carousels, unlike reels that, they get views, is I had an increased amount of saves, shares, repost, DMs, And what therapists were saying under the post was that they totally forgot about the CPT code 90853. And a lot of therapists, because I was sharing experiences of when I was running groups in my solo practice and my group practice and at agencies, they didn't even know that they could do therapy groups in the way that I was describing it. And so, some of the shifts that I want you to think about so that you can start revamping the way that you even look at your practice with streams of income is that this topic and the code 90853 really opened up a bigger conversation when I, for example, as a coach, talk about streams of income. And so to have streams of income in mental health, I believe you don't need to have like a digital product, a course, keynote speaker. You can actually declare streams of income of how you are diversifying your clinical practice. And so, could you use what you already know? And could you just branch off into different CPT codes? So, for example, for one on one therapy, we typically use 90791 for an intake. And then we typically use 90834 or 90837, depending on how long your therapy session is. And that's pretty much it. It's very rare that if you're in private practice, you use any other codes unless you are doing group therapy, psychological testing, couples or family therapy. And then maybe you start to expand into non one on one or service based with client work. And you start tapping into consulting where you go out and you solve an agency's problem or you develop some workshops or trainings, whether they're virtual or in person. But at the end of the day, when you look at all these streams of income and what they have in common, they're all within your mode of expertise. So, with that in mind, my intuition during that time off, and then when I end up coming back, it had told me that what I was documenting was definitely working in terms of the topic I was talking about. And so what I did is I took my best performing posts, like my best performing carousels and or reels, and I made them more thorough. And then I end up turning them into a PDF as soon as I came back from the holiday break. So I cleaned up a lot of the details in my post. I made it simple. I made the topic of therapy groups like a checklist to get started, very focused. And I only focused on therapy groups. I didn't focus on speaking, workshops, or anything else. And so I hope this is also sharing with you whether you want to do a digital product or a service based product or service, is that when you start marketing something for the first time, especially when you are experimenting, it is okay that you start small. And I would highly recommend in this era that we live in right now, just because online information is very saturated. People can type anything in Google, YouTube, AI, and all the things. So you want to make sure it's something that people actually want, which is why I tested it out on social media for free first with education, because that's what I do. But I would highly recommend that you zero in on one specific topic and then from that topic, focus on one thing. So for me, initially it was awareness. Did you know that you can grow your therapy practice to $300+ an hour simply by, not simply, but you know what I'm saying? You can create a therapy group. So when I started thinking deeply about, wow, okay, I'm creating a digital product again, I wanted it to be practical. And so what I started showing is how to generate $350 per session, technically per group hour. Now, I want to be clear, you do have to set up the group, but with any even client, there is more work on the front end. And then after you do the intake, the treatment plan, learn the billing for that client and all the things, everything becomes automatic, ideally, if you have processes. And so using systems that you already have was a big key component for therapists to see like, oh, wait, I already have an EHR. I already have intake forms, but I maybe need different types of questions for therapy groups. I already do consultations. I already create treatment plans. And so ultimately, and I'll link it down in the show notes, what I created in this therapy group starter checklist is I said, here are a small list. I don't want to, to overwhelm you, but this is a small list of group intake questions that you want to ask every single person so that you can make sure that you're selecting certain people to gel well together based off whatever your group is about. And then I gave them a full 35-point checklist from start to finish of things that you want to put inside your group or make sure that these logistics are in place. And so I want to break down the revenue because people sometimes ask like, transparency receipts. And I'm not in the habit of like breaking down every single number of my business. I don't mind it, but I will usually do it when someone ask. And typically for us, it is at live events when we're talking about digital products, launches, email marketing, and people want to see numbers. And so I think it's also because I work with therapists. And most of the time, at least the ones that are in our community, unless they outright put how much money they make, I don't think we're also in a field. I know things are changing, like on TikTok, but most therapists still just don't go online and say, yeah, I made 10 racks, you know, over the last month. And this is where all of it came from. Most people aren't doing that. They are educating the public on what they do, not educating the public on all the money they made. Right. So the total revenue generated was around and about $4,300. And where the sales came from were the following channels. It was a couple of $100s from YouTube. I played around also in the first quarter with linking up an online store that you can do through various websites, like an e-commerce website. I usually only do it for digital downloads, not courses. And so what happens is, for example, if you are watching a video of mine on my Dr. TK YouTube channel, then under the video, you will see that I have a couple of downloadable PDFs. So I'm experimenting with them right now, and it's working just fine because not everybody clicks on the description box to then click on your link. And so some money came from YouTube, some money came directly from our regular payment processor. And then, of course, there was a large amount because I also start testing out ManyChat again with DM automation. And that made a world of a difference in terms of following up with people to send them the link because a lot of people are not going to click the link in your bio. A lot of people are going to see your stuff because someone else shared it with them. And so the revenue portion of this particular topic is still growing. And the beauty part is it actually broke out into three different products. So it first started with the PDF, then it went into the 90-minute masterclass because what we did is we said, okay, now that you are aware of what you can do with therapy groups and you know what it will take to put a therapy group together, let me actually walk you through the launch phases and address a lot of the questions, especially with marketing and launching a therapy group. And then at the end of that, I end up asking a question and I wanted to know were people interested in more of a co-working space. Now, I'm not going to lie, I sat on this for about a month because I really didn't know if I wanted a co-working space or did I just want to do what I do best, which is teach. You ask questions, I help you build out whatever you need to, and then I give you feedback. So after about a month and a half, I decided with my team that it will be best if I did 4 workshops. And the first 2 will be spread out just because of our existing coaching client schedule. We're starting week 2 this week. And what we're doing is walking them through, but giving them feedback on them actually not just designing their therapy group, but actually building it out. And so when I look back, some of the things that I learned that I want to share with you, and I hope that you can take some of, what I'm going to share with you when you are launching any type of new product or service, is I paid attention to what people were asking for. So people were asking questions under my social media posts, such as, well, how do I actually do it? And that's actually how the masterclass came about. So again, I'm just reinforcing that if you are the overthinker that says, I have to have everything together, I have to go into the new year or the new quarter or the new month with everything mapped out, I do believe you should enter into the year with some type of skeleton, some type of syllabus. But I also want you to go based off your intuition. And so here's the thing. Think about it like a consultation, right? So I'm going to compare these products to a consultation for therapy and going through the process. Some people are like, can you just make short videos? This really happened on TikTok. I'm going to be real. Instagram don't do this. But on TikTok, no shade if you met me over there. But TikTok, I just feel like our people just want hella free webinars and they don't want to invest in the efficiency to deliver the product or service, so I can help you. And so think about it from a therapy perspective. If a therapist said, hey, you can just give it to us. Everybody else on here talking for free. I'm like, okay, is your consultation for free? And they're like, yes. I said, okay. So consultation is equivalent for me to social media, to YouTube videos, to podcasts. I got over 500 of them. Go listen to them. You probably don't even know that I have a podcast, right? I don't say it like that, but in essence, I have plenty of content to answer a lot of questions, right? So then once the person is done with consultation, and that's free for 15 minutes, then I'll ask the therapist, okay, do you charge people for therapy or do you just let people come for free? Now, most therapists are going to say, heck no, therapy is not free. And the question is, why? Because you value your time. You value your schooling. You value your license. You value that you made a career and a business out of your expertise. So it's the same thing here. I have learned how to package my expertise beyond one on one therapy and clinical services because I love digital products. And so when you think about introducing a product or service to the market, and this could be applied to anything, okay? But I'm going to keep with the analogy of therapy. When you put something out there, like I did with social media, that is what I deem as the awareness stage. People are becoming aware that either something is new or being refreshed in their mind. You're educating them, right? So for therapists, they were like, I forgot or I didn't know that this was possible in my private practice. So what I then did is I moved to the next phase, which is beyond a consultation awareness, social media. I moved into the intake phase. The intake phase is okay, you want to get a taste of what therapy groups is like. So I'm going to create this PDF. I'm going to make it very simple to understand where there are check boxes, like a checklist, and then there are journal pages. And the goal would be that when you get that PDF, that you see what is all involved in doing a therapy group to even decide if you want to do one. To me, this is the best option versus buying a whole program and you don't even know what you're signing up for. And so then the next phase was, but again, I listened to the people who bought the PDF, is I want the next step. I want the masterclass. And so I'm like, oh, I had to think because this is a topic that is actually taught in our Scale Academy, not to the public. So I had to decide what I wanted to teach. And so I thought, okay, the treatment plan would be I'm going to break these launch phases down. I'm going to show you all the activities that are in it. But when you think about coaching, because some people may be thinking like, well, gosh, you still are giving everything away, even for a low cost, like under $100. And I am, but I'm not because most people don't join our coaching programs just for me to tell them what to do. Some of them do, but most of them join it because it's combined with the information plus my expertise to then speed up the process so that they can get the outcome and results that they want. And similar to a professor, you want somebody overseeing your work, not just give me the plan. It's more of show me how to do it. So that's how the masterclass came about. So again, now we have awareness, social media posts. We have the intake, the PDF. We have the masterclass, the treatment plan. Now the next level comes in. There was a small percentage of people who said, okay, well, what's next? Now I could have clearly just opted in to interview them for my program, but they were specifically interested. They expressed in my DM therapy groups, or I had group practice owners saying, I want my interns to be trained in therapy groups. I said, okay, bet. And so I put out an application and then we sent out an invitation because they were asking for more. And what we were able to do in a 4-week cohort is now we're actually designing the group with them. So we went from awareness idea to I think I want to do it to I want to do it to now I'm about to go all in. Now, there are not a lot of products and services and or coaches that are going to take you through all those steps. You watch one webinar and you figure out if you want the product or program, or not. And that's why I take value in making sure that I carve out time to do podcasts and video YouTube podcasts if I have something to share on the screen, just so you all can like test drive the car, because I think that's really important. So I want to talk about conversion. That's a word that therapists don't use a lot, but conversion is basically if you have 100 people that sign up for something for free, maybe a percentage of them, like 30% or less, will actually pay for a product and 30% will get lower the higher the ticketed product is. And based on the type of audience that you attract, meaning did you attract the right people? So, for example, when I looked at adding these products, I knew, and I really want y'all to hear this because sometimes we get mixed up with thinking like, well, I'm gonna sell it to 100 people and then 100 people are gonna buy my next thing. That's not how conversion works. So, if 100 people buy my PDF, 30 people are gonna sign up for the masterclass, just about. That's my expectation. That's how I set my goals. And then when we have the 4-week program, about 3 people are going to move forward. So what am I saying? If you want to get higher conversions with any product or service that you sell, you need more eyeballs on your stuff. This is why people do post so much. This is why people do post long form content to build a relationship or have longer webinars or master classes or boot camps because they want somebody to be exposed to the whole thing, not what I called in a previous episode, like a slice of cake. And so what we're really looking at, and you want to write this number down, is a 3 to 10% conversion rate. 30% is very high. And usually it's 30% when it's your warm audience, meaning they know you already and they're on a wait list waiting for something. But a normal conversion rate based off how many people you have a consultation with, how many people visit your website, it is typically 3 to 10% and do 3% on a conservative end, but it's usually 3 to 10% for a conversion. So as I put all of this together, and then that led me into that last offer, which we call the launch pod. Like I said in the masterclass, I'm not going to create something that people aren't asking for, especially when it wasn't in my plan. But I will pay attention if a good amount of people say, would you be willing to help me build my therapy group? Because I asked about that co-working space, and a good amount of people said yes, meaning I like an intimate group, especially when I'm launching something new. It's called a beta launch. And so, like I said, it included 4 calls. It's closed right now because we did a lot of promotion to it, and we provide them step by step. So if you saw the email, if you filled out the application and then you didn't respond to our invitation, I'm about to break down what you missed. Okay. Because what a lot of people don't understand until they get in our community and they use the services is that there's a large percentage, about 25 to 50% of our things that we give our clients to work in their business, for their business, to generate results and money, is a done for you service. I do not advertise that because I think that's going to advertise the wrong type of person who just wants me to do all their work for them. But it is a percentage based off the program that it is done for you. So this is what I mean. On week 1, phase 1, we help them. So we teach live and then we give them an activity. It's very simple. We don't do no workbooks. The slides are the workbooks. You get a replay and we put that in the portal. So we help them really zero in on the client avatar and to conceptualize what you want your group about. So it came with a good amount of prompts. What they then have to do is fill out a form to upload all this information so me and my team can see it. What then we will do, I just did it for somebody like 2 days ago, where then I sent that person like a 3 to 4 page PDF report. If it needs a Loom video, because maybe I need to explain something, I will. But it was better for me just to write it out so that they can literally copy and paste, with giving them ideas for, okay, this is how you can start promoting on social media right now. This is how you can talk about this when you go to this event, because maybe that's something they mention right now. So it's not just us teaching them information, it's us being able to help them design, implement, and get feedback all in one program. Then in phase 2, what we're actually working on this upcoming week, mid-April, is we're helping them then create their special sauce. We call it your own theoretical orientation, your framework, your curriculum for your therapy group. What they're going to do is upload their framework to another form. We're going to combine that with ideally their client avatar and the concept of what they want their group to be about, what problem they solve. And then we actually give them feedback on their framework. Now, I'm going to give some bonuses. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but I know for our Dope Therapist Academy students who did this activity, they know what they got when they submitted their framework and they received 30 days of something, of a done for you service that helps them with marketing. I'll just leave it like that. Phase 3, we're going to focus on marketing and show them how to show up based off what we gave them in week 2. You see how these build off each other. And then in week 4, we're going to focus on the launch, the timeline, what are all the activities and things and systems that you need to set this up. And we're really going to focus on Q&A. They do have a Telegram group. Their Telegram group will remain open for a short period of time after their last call, because some people need to sit on the information and then also watch the replay. So they have the Telegram group, they have our Kajabi course portal, and then, like I said, they have live teaching and live submit your work. Let me give you feedback. Plus, let me also do a done for you service, especially around marketing. And so this program actually came with just about 40 to 50% done for you. But I want to be clear, if you are in this program and you are listening, you have to submit your work in order to see the done for you part. I will not send you magically something in your email that says, hey, put this on social media. I won't do that. But like I said, it's real support. And so I want to be very, very clear, because some people are seeing these products and or services that I have, and they might even be comparing it to other things that I have, including our main programs. So I do have low ticket offers. I have high ticket offers. The only mid ticket offers that I have is actually my live event, and it depends on what live event it is. But I want to be clear, PDFs, downloads, masterclasses where I don't see you and you see me, like more like a webinar, but I'm teaching live. That is not mentorship. That is me teaching you. It's called a master class. That is very different than coaching. But think about your business similar to how you thought about when you were getting licensed. How would it have turned out if you were going throughout school and you had no supervision? What if they let you get licensed with no supervision, no oversight? Would you go see a therapist who never got supervision? Absolutely not. So your business also needs what we call business supervision, also mentorship. Okay. So again, all of this compiled with some learning nuggets for you is what all went in to me generating over $4,000 of one idea broken down over time into 3 streams of income that I was able to launch in less than 90 days. So in terms of some people overthinking, I'm living in my head, you are. Because all you have to do is test out an idea and listen to what people are asking for. Okay. So it shifted in summary from idea to content, PDF, masterclass to a full fledged program. So this is my ask of you. If you are interested or you were not even aware that this was even a thing and you're interested in therapy groups, I'm linking everything below. Now, the beauty part is if you want the PDF and the masterclass, they go hand in hand. It doesn't matter which one you click on, you will see the other one where you can bundle them. I would recommend that you get both because that PDF has a free Audible course attached to it that you get access to at no cost, walking you through the actual PDF. Because I know some of y'all ain't gonna read, right? Now, if you want business clinical supervision, then just stay tuned for our opening doors of our Therapist Scale Academy. But speaking of supervision, that's another clinical stream of income that is technically bundled sometimes with therapy groups because some supervisors want, if you have a group practice, you want your clinicians to also do therapy groups, or you may be supervising a clinician who maybe does groups at another site. And so if you want to see what it looks like to build out a clinical supervision offer, meaning you're a contractual clinical supervisor, people come to you for supervision and they pay you, or you have a collaboration with a school or an agency and they pay you to see their students, I want you to check out the show notes because I've also linked up our upcoming masterclass. It will be live the first round. After that, you can still get it. We'll break it up into small digestible pieces because I don't believe in you sitting down and watching a 90-minute video. We break it up based off the chapters and the slides in the masterclass, and then you consume it, per section. So, like I said, I linked up all the therapy group stuff. I linked up our upcoming clinical supervision for the second quarter that actually is coming up at the end of April. Make sure that you follow the podcast. Also connect with me on YouTube. There are plenty of video masterclasses on digital products, therapy groups, a mixture of some vlogs that I uploaded a while ago, and other things related to even a solo private practice. There's a lot there. And so subscribe to the YouTube channel. And again, if you're listening to all this and you know what? I just want to go ahead and get some support. I want to get some mentorship. I want to be in the 12-month program. I want access to everything you just listed, plus some more. Because yes, those clients do get access to everything that I just listed at no additional cost because it is part of their program, that stream of income, therapy groups, clinical supervision, workshops. Just DM me the word Scale Academy. Like just tell me who you are, introduce yourself, feel free to leave a voice note, and I will get back to you and we can have a conversation about you seeing if you're a good fit for the program. But at the end of the day, thank you so much for connecting. Let's talk about you expanding your clinical expertise into streams of income. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.